Good afternoon, learners. I am Dr. Munish Bharadwaj, Program Coordinator of this ACPDM program. In last 2 days, means the last Saturday and Sunday, as you remember, we discussed about the power sector scenario in the country on Saturday, and Sunday we discussed about the acts and policies and their salient features regarding the electricity distribution. Today we will discuss about the block 2 of your course 1, which is operation and maintenance. And in this course, as you know, there are 3 units. Unit 4 is about introduction to power distribution system. Unit 5 is regarding substation equipment and distribution lines, and Unit 6 is regarding performance improvement and operation management. Unit 6 is regarding distribution transformers. So today we will start with the introduction to power distribution system, which is the Unit 4 of your block 2, which is operation and maintenance. With me I have Mrs. Anjali Chandra. She is Director, Central Electricity Authority, and she will discuss about introduction to power distribution system. We will be later joined by Mr. V.S. Verma, who is Member Planning at Central Electricity Authority. Over to Mrs. Chandra.
Welcome to all of you to this session on Introduction to Distribution Systems. As we all know, the power system consists of the generation, from which we step up to the transmission voltage, and from the transmission substation we send power over transmission lines, which may be of 100 kV, 400 kV, which are the transmission voltages of 220 kV or 132 kV, and we step down to the 220 kV voltage or 132 kV voltage. Thereafter we step down to the 33 kV or 66 kV system, and from the 33 and 66 kV substation we step down to the 11 kV by 33 by 11 kV transformers or 66 by 11 kV transformers, and from the 11 kV transformers, 11 by 0.4 kV transformers, we have the LT distribution system for taking power to the consumer. So you can see we have the generation, then the transmission, then we have the sub-transmission, which is 66 and 33 kV, then we have the 11 kV feeders, then the distribution transformers, and then the LT feeders. So the grid substation, which is the first part, is the power from transmission, is the substation from which the power from the transmission network is delivered to the sub-transmission network after stepping down to the voltage of 66 kV or 33 kV through 220, 132, 66 or 33 kV grid substations. These are all grid substations. They can be 220 by 33, they can be 132 by 33, they can be 132 by 66, or they can be 220 by 66. So from the generation we first step up to the transmission voltage, and from the transmission voltage we transmit over 220 kV lines or 400 kV lines, and then bring it down to the sub-transmission level. In the sub-transmission network, the power is carried by the 66 kV or 33 kV overhead lines or underground cables, and from the cables we go to the 66 or 33 by 11 kV substation for distribution. The primary distribution feeders can be 11 kV or 6.6 kV for carrying power to the distribution transformers. And then we have the distribution substation, which is at which the voltage is stepped down by 11 by 0.4 kV transformers to the utilization voltage of 415 volt if it is 3-phase and 230 volts if it is single phase. And it is carried to various consumers through service lines and cables. This is called the secondary distribution network. The generation voltages can be 415 volt, 6.6 kV, 10.5 kV, 11 kV, 13.8 kV, 15.75 kV, 21 kV or 33 kV. The various projects generate at different voltages, and this is then stepped up to the transmission voltage. The transmission voltages which are used in our country are 132 kV, 220 kV, 400 kV and 800 kV, which is under construction. The sub-transmission and high voltage distribution, which we call, is the classification is sub-transmission and high voltage distribution, that is 33 kV, 66 kV, 3.3 kV, 6.6 kV, 11 kV, 22 kV, 33 kV and 66 kV. The 22 kV voltages are mainly used in Maharashtra. The distribution is at 415 and 240 volt or 230 volt, depending on what system you are using. But now we are moving over to 240 volt.
So as Mrs. Chandra, just now you told that for transmission, that 800 kV, this is under construction.
Yes.
So right now it is not being used.
No, right now it is not being used.
And what is the purpose of or the benefit of using this for which we are?
Actually, if you want to transmit high blocks of power, then to reduce the losses, you should go over to a higher voltage. The higher the voltage, the lesser will be the losses and more will be the capability of the line to carry power. So if you carry at low voltage, then you require too many lines for carrying the same amount of power. Okay. That is why we go to a higher voltage, so that you don't have problems of right of way and you can carry huge blocks of power on a single high voltage line. So when we come to the main components of a distribution system, the main components of a distribution system are the substations. We start from the transformers and associated equipment which are there in the substations. Then we have the feeders or lines, in which we have conductors and associated equipment, and the metering arrangement. So these are the main components of a distribution system. We will discuss these in detail. The main component of the substation is a transformer, and a transformer is a device that transfers energy from one AC system to another. That is to say, a transformer can accept energy at one voltage and deliver it at another voltage. This permits electrical energy to be generated at relatively low voltage and transmitted at high voltage and low currents, thus reducing the losses. So transformer steps up or steps down the voltage, and this permits transfer of energy at the transmission voltage. For example, if we are generating at 3.3, we can step up the voltage to any voltage level for up to 132 or whatever voltage level we want, and from that we transfer voltage for long distances over high voltage transmission line, and then again step it down for distribution. Two or more stationary in a transformer, two or more stationary electric circuits are coupled magnetically, and the windings linked by a common time varying magnetic flux. One of these windings, known as the primary, receives power at a given voltage and frequency from the source, and the other winding, known as the secondary winding, delivers power usually at different voltage but at the same frequency to the load. So we have the secondary voltage, primary winding and the secondary winding, and we feed power into the primary winding and get the power at the secondary winding. I'll show you what, this is the core, the square thing is the core of the transformer, and we have the primary voltage, the primary winding which is wound on the core, and the secondary winding which is also wound on the core, if you can see that. So when we feed power into the primary winding, we get power out of the secondary winding at a different voltage, and the number of turns are in proportion to the voltage. So this is the basic principle of a transformer, whether it is a distribution transformer or a power transformer. You can see this is a picture of a distribution transformer, Well, the difference, we have two types of transformers, the power transformer and the distribution transformer. The power transformer is at the substations which are of higher voltage level, whereas the distribution transformer is used to step down the voltage to the secondary voltage level. So mostly the power transformers in the distribution system are at the substation which is of 33 by 11 kV or 66 by 11 kV level. And these power transformers convert power level voltages from one level to another. Whereas in the distribution transformer, we convert voltages of 11 to 400 volt or 22 to 400 volts. In the power transformers, since the power transformer is fed through the grid network, a power transformer is usually not a critical component for supply to consumers, as alternative paths for flow of power are available through the grid. This means that if we can have 2 or 3 power transformers in near vicinity, and if one substation or one power transformer fails, then we can supply power to the consumer through an alternative source or a nearby grid substation. But in a distribution transformer, if the distribution transformer fails, usually there are no ring main units and the power supply to the consumer is affected. Power transformers are most of the times loaded to levels just below the rated power, and accordingly they are designed to operate at maximum possible flux density level with maximum efficiency at near full load. Distribution transformers are most of the time lightly loaded, and in order to have maximum all-day efficiency, they are designed to work at low flux levels with maximum efficiency occurring at lower loading, especially for rural network. For urban network, these also are designed to have higher maximum efficiency at higher loading. It is for, since most of our loads in the rural area are there for part of the time, that is why distribution transformers in the rural areas are designed to work at maximum efficiency occurring at lower loads, maybe 30 to 50%, whereas the distribution transformers for urban areas are designed to have maximum efficiency at 80 to 90% loading. Then we have the second component of the distribution system is the feeder. By definition, the feeder consists of all primary or secondary voltage level segments of distribution line between two substations or between a substation and an open point. For example, this is a feeder. A feeder may be emanating from a 33 by 11 kV substation, then it will be called an 11 kV feeder. There will be many 11 kV feeders from a single 33 by 11 kV substation. If the feeders emanate from a distribution transformer, from the LT bus of a distribution transformer, then they are called LT feeders. So these two types of feeders will be existing in the subtransmission and distribution network. The feeders or lines can be overhead or underground depending upon the requirement. Most of the feeders in our country for distribution are overhead, but in metros and other congested areas we do have underground system also. We are having underground cables. So the two types of feeders or lines which we can have is overhead or underground. Underground we have cables, overhead we have bare conductors.
So having these underground feeders, this is only that the consideration is only the aesthetic point of view, or is there any other engineering aspect behind that?
There are engineering aspects also, and we'll go into them in detail, but one of them is increasing the reliability of the system, because overhead conductors are mostly prone to faults due to tree falling, due to burdage, due to many other reasons. But if we go underground, then there are lesser chances of such faults. Faults do occur on underground cables, but the reliability is more. However, we are not going in much for underground because of the cost considerations. Underground cables are quite expensive as compared to overhead conductors. Therefore, in Delhi we have lot of underground cable system, in Bombay we have lot of underground cable system. but in most of the cities we are having overhead due to the cost consideration. The underground cable is about 6 times or 7 times more costly than an overhead system.
So means in addition to the aesthetic point of view of the area, means other considerations are also there.
Yeah, reliability, cost, there are quite a few considerations which we go into. Right of way, if it is not available, then we can go underground. Because sometimes right of way in congested areas is not available, then we either go in for aerial mesh cable or underground cables. So in the feeders or lines we have conductors, and a conductor is classified as a material that allows flows of electricity with minimal resistance. Metals primarily make up this category. The two metals that are used in most of the power transportation applications are copper and aluminium. They are the conductors of choice because of their non-magnetic characteristics and of course their low resistivity. So the two main metals used for conduction are copper and aluminium. The main conductor is made of copper and aluminium. A conductor's current carrying limit is known